Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. In this video, I'm going to be talking a bit about my plan for what I've done with my gear, crafting stuff, looking at a little bit of Sims ratio-wise, talking about embellishments, all that, and I guess my general plan for this week, which is the week before the raid opens, Mythic Zero happens, and all of that. Getting a lot of questions about what to do this week, what should we do, what can we do, and all that, so hopefully this video will answer all that, but once again, I want to clarify, and say a million times like the last videos, there's no reason to go crazy here. Have a good time, play the game that you want. If you're not super excited about farming a million things, don't do it, because honestly, it isn't that big of a deal. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, this video is for you. It might have a bit of a Warlock theme to it, but in general, this is pretty applicable across the board. So, yeah, let's do it. Oh, also, the website, kalamazi.gg, if you guys haven't seen it, shameless plug. It'll be getting updated probably tomorrow night with embellishments and stat weights and all that kind of stuff. Kalamazi.gg, link down below if you want it. Week Wars add-ons are on there too, all that kind of stuff. Talent builds, whatever you want. We'll be using that for the foreseeable future for the like talent build updates, all that kind of stuff. If you want to bookmark it, and yeah, let's do it. All right, so first off, I want to hit on gearing here. Now I have two warlocks this tier. This is going to be my second warlock, my alt warlock. We're doing a split run this tier. For those that don't know, split runs are essentially we're doing one this time. So what we're going to do in our guild is take basically half our main characters and then half our alt characters. Go into the raid. You feed all the gear to the half that's considered mains, and then clear out as much as you can. Do it again where people on their alts, like this character for me in the first run, get on your main, and the mains get on alts and feed gear to those main characters. Essentially netting double the gear from the raid, from more gearing early on, all that. If it didn't make much sense, don't worry about it. It won't matter. But that's why I'm playing two warlocks here. So my first lock, now this is the alt one that I'm playing, and I want to show my choices for gearing here briefly, break it down, and then maybe it gives you a bit of a better template, whatever, for gearing. When it comes to my helm, shoulders, and chest, I have the renown pieces. I made them 4 out of 8 week and a half ago, whatever. You probably don't need to either way. I spent Weather Harbinger Crest on it, which I spent a good bit of already, upgrading these to 594. If you don't have the renown gear, it comes from like 7 with these guys, 8, 7, and all that. If you don't have it at this point, probably not worth grinding out. You can just craft 590s here. I have renown, and the blue pieces here, 580, are all from heroics. Now, this character got pretty lucky with getting a socketed neck and 2 socketed rings from heroics, which made me shift away a bit from crafting jewelry on this character, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So I opted to craft a handful of other things. I crafted a 590 staff early on. This has Dark Moon Sigil Ascendance on it. Now, embellishments, we'll get to in a minute here as well. This is one of them. This is a Nerubian embellishment, and it looks, we can just talk about it now, it's fine. Embellishments may change over the next few days. I would not put any merit into this. Do not use sparks. But Dark Moon Sigil Ascendance paired with the Writhing Armor Banding, whatever this is, that it's the Nerubian one. Doubles the effectiveness of Nerubian embellishments, which for some reason this is, I don't know why. This combo looks to universally be the best combination of embellishments for warlocks currently, which things might change heading in the next week. Or I guess, the raid launching and all that. So I've opted to make a staff at 590. I also made a cloak, legs, boots, and I have 2 pieces that I can make still as well with these Weathered Harbinger Crest. Now I put the embellishment for Nerubian things on boots here. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's likely better to put it on an item of lesser relevance, like for example, like a cloak or bracers, because if I go into M0, I'd rather in like boots drop, like boots and a cloak drop. Boots are more relevant. Like the higher eye level matters more because there's more main stat on this, or secondary stat on this. So likely, replacing 590 boots versus 590 cloak with, let's say a 610 pair of each, boots will gain more overall DPS gains. I should have probably put this on cloak or bracers. Doesn't really matter a whole lot, but I am playing this combination here. You can make this yourself if you want. Just once again, do not spend any sparks. This does not take any sparks. I can show you how to do it briefly. If you haven't seen the videos I made in the past, you come back here to the enchanting guy who's sitting right over here. You say, hey, give me this thing for 30 crests. You take it, bam. You go over to the inscription place, say, hey, find me an enchanter, whoever makes this stuff. Make me a Weathered Harbinger Crest, whatever this is. Bang, right there. Right there. You make it, you get it, awesome. You find the tailor or a jewel crafter or a blacksmith or whatever makes your item you want at 590 and say, hey, make this for me. If it's rank 5, it'll be 590, which is what all this is in here. Now, when it comes to trinkets, I have indeed upgraded my Arakara Sack Brew to 6 out of 8. I'm not going 8 out of 8 right now. I'd like to get a different trinket on this character, and I'm going to swap to my main character now and show you what I made on him. Also to mention, this is all Crit Master stuff on these crafted pieces here. So this one right here has socketed rings and a socketed neck that I got from running heroics. I ended up getting on my main character, who didn't have any sockets on rings or necks, to run sims and see where things were at. Because if you craft like rings and necks, they come with a socket on them passively. So I wanted to run some sims and see where things landed, comparing like crafted jewelry to 580 socketed rings, but you can go buy off the auction house and upgrade with just Valor Stones, right? They're like explorer level, but it doesn't even matter, right? They're these rings, I think, right here. I bought these for super cheap. They're like 400 gold each, something like that. You can make these 580, and if you get one with a socket, which you can just find in the auction house for super cheap, you can buy 580 socketed rings like my other warlock did. Same with the neck, but I didn't buy one. I ended up running a sim here, and we're going to get to all these sims in a minute as well. But so I ended up actually comparing. I decided to compare basically crafting like crafting rings at 590 with a socket compared to saying, hey, let's use those 30 crests towards gloves or legs or a belt or whatever instead. And surprisingly, 580 rings with sockets in them were still, like the crafted ones at 590, were still a pretty substantial upgrade. Now, the reasoning behind that is because looking at these rings here, you gain roughly 430 secondary stats. It's basically 2k of each versus like 2.3, 1.2. Rough math, I think it's about 450. Comparatively to like, let's say these gloves, for example, 1803 intellect on the 590 pair, 580 is 1642. So you're gaining about 160 intellect here, upgrading to this from this compared to these rings, gaining about 420 secondary stats. Now, secondary stats aren't worth as much as main stat, but it's not a 2-to-1 ratio. So, for example, I have stat weight sims here, right? And this is affliction, but here's an F as well, right? So it's the highest stat here, but mine is then crit, master, haste, and burst. And the raw value here is not 1 to 2 at all. So actually upgrading the rings, even though I bought 580 socketed ones to 590, was still a pretty valuable overall upgrade for me. So I should have probably made my alt character socketed jewelry at 590. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. I can do it next week either way. But what I would recommend, even from these sims, which if you have 580 socketed gear, at least for me, you can run your own, but making 590 socketed rings and a socketed neck was indeed worthwhile. These come with sockets baseline. If you craft them at 590, whatever level, they come with sockets baseline, right? Now, outside of that, I had this staff for a while. I still haste mastery. I make it crit mastery. I don't care if I do it. I also ended up making a cloak at 590, and this is where my Nerubian embellishment went. I spent all my crests in this guy. I have none left for 587.606. They're all gone. I also upgraded 2 of my trinkets here. Sack Brewed to 587. And I upgraded Signet of the Priory to 587. Now, might be asking, why didn't I upgrade both this to 594 or this, whatever, so on and so forth. If I go in and pull a Sack Brood and dump all my points into this week 1, day 1, points being, crest, whatever, it isn't really a big deal either way, but like I wanted to have a bit more like, spread power across both trinkets. Signet's pretty good. It's only beat out by the trinket in the Rookery. And honestly, this is a damage-based proc trinket, which I hate. I don't like these. It does sim high. I've seen high, results here with this, like high, meters and stuff, breakdowns. And I've seen some where it doesn't proc at all. So I'd much rather have a stat-based trinket like this. I can hit it and it gives me stats compared to a random proc. So I pushed both these. We have 2 crafted rings, crafted a cloak, crafted a neck, and pushed both these to 587, and I have a staff here. And just to show sims here as well, so I wanted to go in and compare raw trinket upgrades to crafting gear, because the trinkets are both at baseline 580 when you upgrade them to 4 out of 8, right? But I wanted to say, okay, what is 587? 587 is 6 out of 8, which is the equivalent of spending 30 crest. 30 crest is the same as basically upgrading a piece of gear to 590, right? So we went in here and said, all right, let's run sims with Sack Brood at 587, 90, 94, which is 45 and 60 crests comparatively to other upgrades, right? And when the results came out, surprisingly, Sack Brood was ahead of both 590 gloves and bracers. It was it's close-ish to Cord here at 590. This being 30 crest versus this being 30 crest. When it came to demonology, Sackbrew was way ahead of all the craft. Well, ahead a good bit of all the crafting gear at a lower eye level. And when it comes to destruction, it was a pretty solid alternative as well. Not a big difference here. So I decided to skip over crafting bracers and gloves and just went straight into upgrading Sackbrood and, you know, my Signet. So putting all that aside, I would definitely say that, like, trinket-wise, Sackbrood's worth upgrading. If you have a Signet, whatever, you probably can do it, but not a huge deal regardless. Quick Wick Candlesticks, also a good one. I don't have it, but it's there, which is a trinket. But besides that, I did crit mastery and everything. With sockets, some baseline enchants, all that. I do need to have the Nerubian embellishment here, and I have a staff, which is, once again, just crest-based with Ascendance on it. Now, when it comes to stat weight sim, people have been asking a lot, what's going on with stat weight sims? How does this work? What's going on? So when I'm simming AF, this is Hellcaller. I was just playing Hellcaller, I guess. It has crit and mastery being the highest two values for me with my crafted gear not on yet. Now, when I crafted gear, I can actually run a sim here again for you guys. When I crafted gear, things did shift a little bit, but it was still pretty similar to what I saw already. I'll change Soul Harvester here. Crit and mastery have gained a good bit of value when it comes to affliction for a handful of reasons. We'll run another sim here also. And they're not bad across the board as well when it comes to like Destro and Demo. Here is affliction. Where are that with sims here? Let's see. Here's a demonology. Mastery a little low, whatever it is what it is. Crit being second best overall stat. Haste being a little higher. I don't have much haste, but it's fine. And when it comes to Destro, crit and mastery, relatively close to haste here too. I can just regen for haste. Not a big deal. But when it comes to the crafting gear, I put crit mastery on it. If I was crafting with a spark, I would run more in-depth sims here. This is also different characters, but you know, one and the same. I'd run more in-depth sims here to see where value is at. Like, for example, here's the sim with my crafting gear on. Crit is still very high. Mastery, not as good anymore, but still overall not terrible. I could just run crit haste gear some spots too, change my gems, you know, whatever it is what it is. But I want to clarify here, crit and mastery did indeed gain value, but my character's gear will vary from yours. So you should run top gear sims with different combinations of gear. If you're going to craft those, take into account like crit haste, crit mastery, crit burst, whatever you want, master haste, to figure out what you want to do. If you don't care a whole lot, you can make it crit mastery, make it crit haste, haste mastery, whatever, it's all the same. But stat weight sims, they're good to know where things are at, but they're not used for, like, you know, picking optimal stats and crafting gear in an optimal manner or it's optimal fashion. Yeah, for the most part. Now, when it comes, putting that aside, when it comes to weekly things, I guess things to get done before next week when the patch comes out, there are a handful of things that I'm trying to do. Number one is you should have 3 spark fragments now. This might seem pretty simple, but, you know, at the same time, I missed it for a while. If you combine your spark fragments, 2 of them, into 1, it takes 250 Valor Stones. We're not doing much now. If you want to farm Valor Stones and get close to cap or cap them out, now's a good time. You can do that by running Heroic Dungeons, which also gets you more crests if you want. The best way to farm Valor Stones actually appears to be farming dirt. Not that big of a deal this time, like it was in Dragonflight, but farming dirt, which will give you these globs of wax, which you can turn in for, I believe, some Valor Stones. And just in general, it nets a bit of resources here and there. But that looks to be the best way to farm Valor Stones. Outside of that, probably just running Heroic Dungeons. If you don't have full gear, you can do that too. But I would definitely look to like cap out on your Valor Stones or come close to it to save some time ahead next week. Because going into M0s, you have a lot of your carved crests saved up, probably 200-ish, give or take right now. And you're going to chomp through Flight Stones or I guess Valor Stones probably pretty fast. So I would look to do that if you want to cap out on those. I need about 1,100 more here and 600 more on my other alt. But also I want to combine these, and this consumes 250 to combine this. So I'll do one now. I need, you know, a bit more. But do this now, combine what you can, and farm stones if you want. So whenever the season comes around, if you cap it 2, makes it a little easier. Number 2, getting a lot of questions about restored coffer keys and delves. Delves will go to level 8 when the raid comes out next week. Level 8s are probably gonna be a little tough. You are able to do 4 bountiful delves a day. I believe there are 4 specific ones a day. They're like glowing rainbow delves or whatever on a map somewhere. And they rotate, from what I understand, daily. At the end, you can spend one of your bountiful keys to open a larger chest for, I believe, champion gear. I don't see them on the map, but they're somewhere. I'm assuming, I think you have 13 keys now, roughly. I have like 10, doesn't matter. You probably have around 20 roughly, maybe next week starting, if you min-maxed everything. Which means you can literally not do delves Tuesday or Wednesday. You can do them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 20 keys if you do all 4 a day. And loot that bountiful chest at the end. I would encourage you to go to M0s first, because M0 gear is going to be higher than all gear we have right now, baseline. Plus, you can upgrade it if you want. It'll make delves a bit easier. Tier 8 delves are probably going to be a bit of a pain on where rush came from. When it comes to trying to get them done efficiently, fast, without dying a bunch. So having more gear definitely helps that. But I would not spend any bountiful keys right now. Restored coffer keys, whatever, if you can avoid doing so. Next week is when they all go live, or up to 8 in delves. On top of that, if you want a bit of a boost for delves, you can level your brand. He caps out at 15. It was 60, but it's not 15. They reduced that back. Having him at 15 versus 7, 8, whatever it is now will be helpful. He can be a healer or a DPS. He's also account wide. So you can level him on a 70 character with scaling being a bit higher. Level 1 dungeons or delves shouldn't be that bad getting into 15. So there's that. The final thing I want to hit on here, I think this is it for the most part, is honor gear and PvP. So when the season starts, you can buy conquest gear, I believe from this person roughly whenever it starts. And you can socket that gear. You get a conquest cap a week to get this, but you can socket that gear by buying one of these. We talked about this a few days ago. This costs basically 10,000 honor and 2 of these things, which is either 5k more honor or some gold in the auction house. I went to the auction house. They're BOE. I hate PvP. But you can buy conquest gear, and this thing will socket that item. It's only PvP gear, but it can go in helms, amulets, bracers, belts, and rings. Now, you cannot put this in PvE gear or any crafted gear. On top of that, there's a pattern from the raid from the last boss, I think, that gives you a chance. It doesn't have a chance. It can socket items. I think it's It's this. You can socket jewelry, amulets or rings, basically. But there's no way that we can see currently, outside the Great Vault probably giving you tokens at some point if it's still a thing this time around, to socket helms, bracers, or belts. Outside of, once again, Great Vault doubloons and stuff, right? From PvE gear. PvP, though, once again, can socket those. So if you're looking to get a socket on like your bracers or a belt or a helm for whatever reason, you could buy those items from the conquest vendor and say, hey, I'm going to socket my bracers. I'm going to socket my helm, socket my belt, which you can't socket from the PvE pattern we just looked at a minute ago there, right? So that's an option. I mean, just grind out 20k honor, whatever. I haven't done it yet. I don't really care a whole lot. Not in a rush or thing, but if you want to, that's that. As like one of the, I guess, final grinds, whatever, for the season, before it starts, whatever. So, keys, but hold them. Bountiful Delve keys, whatever, hold them. You can max out your brand, max out your honor, max out Valor Stones. Besides that, honestly, just craft here if you want, 590, whatever. Run some sims, and just chill. There's not a whole lot going on, and honestly, if you don't want to do it, you don't gotta do any of that. If you're enjoying it, just chilling, having a good time, having a good time. Honestly, it'll all probably be gone pretty fast. So thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. Hopefully it wasn't too long of a video, and hopefully I answered questions you might have had about what you can do this week, heading into, I guess, the weekend and prepping for actual raid launch, M0s, heroic, all that. And a week after that, we get Mythic Raid, Mythic Plus, and it should be a pretty wild ride. Once again, if you guys aren't into like min-maxing and stuff and like going crazy on it, then you don't have to. You don't need to. But this week, nothing really hit that's new, but there are a handful of a bit longer things you can do, like rhyme-wise, like PvP, crafting gear, all that kind of stuff, which might make it a little easier for you, when next week comes around and the season drops. What is my hair? If you guys want any week wars add-ons, links to Twitch and Discord down below are for free for you guys. At the same time, like always, a huge shout out to my patrons who also support on Patreon. Thank you all a million times. I greatly appreciate all the support, which allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for y'all, making content, and yeah, I greatly appreciate it, guys. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the description. And once again, thank you. I've been having a lot of fun when it comes to the first 2 weeks, I guess 2.5 of War Within. I'm ready for some more content, but honestly, I'm focusing on PvP stuff, some Valor Stone maxing and all that before the week hits. And honestly, on Tuesday, we're slamming. So I'm excited. We're doing a split run this time around as well. should be pretty cool. And yeah, you guys want to see it, come by the stream. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. Much love, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.